Well, hello, it's Rob here. I normally say Touchscape dev, which I am, but I wanted to talk about mood units today because I kind of realised I haven't done a sort of a proper mood units video yet. I just did a couple of teasers a few weeks back. If you don't know what mood units are, then I'm going to link in this video two great intro videos, one by Doug at the Sound Test Room, our dear friend, and also Gavinsky, who does a great overview as well. And it's nice because you should watch them both because they both kind of come at it from a different angle. Anyway, in case you don't know, mood units are a set of AUV3 instruments and effects. And I did a little update, rolled out yesterday, and I added two new effects, a distortion and a peak limiter. And I just thought I'd take a little look at those. I'm also doing a kind of a slightly different setup with the video. I'm trying to do everything on the iPad, so hopefully this all comes out nice and clear. It's very busy outside today, so you may hear a bit of a rumble of traffic noise. Anyway, I shall proceed, and hopefully as the number 23 bus goes rattling by. Let's have a quick look at the limiter. Now, I'm just doing a direct screen recording here, but hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on. I've got the limiter just taken out at the moment, and I've got a very simple drum pattern and percussion pattern running in Touchscape. We set that going, and the limiter is on the default settings at the minute. So let's bring that in. So quite a nice kind of lift just by bringing that in with a 3 dB boost. This is default. Let's just crank the gain. So that's still what I've tried to do with these is make them usable, so you don't have kind of like unusable extreme settings. But we are hearing a bit of an artifact of the decay. This should probably be called release actually. Is a little bit too fast, and you can hear that if I exaggerate that, you hear that kind of like almost like a skipping effect. It's just because the limiter is releasing too quickly. So what we can do with that extreme setting is push it right out, and that is still pretty usable. What you'll probably find is that the default settings are pretty usable for most things. So that's a quick look at the limiter. There's a few very basic presets, essentially just based on the gain settings pretty much. Safety net, I will mention again, this basically is just going to try and catch anything above 0 dB. So it's quite handy if you're doing mad stuff with high gain effects, which we will come to. Okie dokie. Just as a point of note, I'm actually running the mic, which is just a built-in iPad mic, through a bit of EQ and limiting as well, which is medium setting, just to kind of sort out a bit of dynamic variation there in my dulcet tones. So I'm running Waverly. This is a new big view that also came out earlier, actually sort of tail end last week. And I'm just using the PWM2 preset here. Which is a kind of a favourite of mine. You're going to have to excuse my kind of one or two fingered playing using the built-in keyboard here. But it's not a kind of music demo, it's more of an effect demo. So I'm going to bring in the Chiltron distortion. Let's bring that guy up. So the distortion covers some kind of basic, what you might think of as traditional distortion, clipping essentially. And then it also has some pretty wild stuff down here. And it's got a bunch of presets. So at the moment I'm on the semi-clean boost. So we've got that in at the moment. And let's just take a listen. So you might not be able to hear that, so it's pretty subtle. Let's take it out. Hopefully you can hear that I think that's quite a nice thickening effect, that it doesn't kind of scream hey distortion, but it's just pushing things quite nicely, I think. Sorry about that, I'm getting incoming messages left, right and centre, sorry about that. So let's have a look at some of the other ones. Before we do, actually, the clean boost, basically, if we just quickly run through these parameters, there's an overall gain, and that's kind of how much you drive the distortion. The clipping kind of governs the nature of the distortion. There's an overall mix here, so you can kind of mix the distorted signal and the dry, which can be quite nice. If you're really pushing the distortion hard, you can still have a bit of the dry coming through, and it doesn't kind of avoids everything getting a bit washed out with fuzzy stuff, you know what I mean. Clipping, yeah, we could go into the maths here about various types of distortion, but to be honest, it's all on Wikipedia, so go have a look if you really want to know about the difference linear terms, squared and cubic. Basically the defaults, these are good kind of jumping off points. So linear set, you can set that up to 1. The default is 0.5, which tends to be a nice, literally a happy medium. The polynomial mix will bring in the squared or cubic terms, and we'll see how those sound in a minute. We'll leave these guys down here to later. So we're only focusing on the distortion and the clipping right now. So if we push the gain a bit, actually let's bring the mix 100%, so we're hearing the distortion like you were running it through a distortion pedal, so it's everything, you're getting everything processed here. So obviously it's louder because of the increasing gain. If I play more than one note, you'll probably be able to hear something that's a bit more recognisable as distortion. If we crank that. So that is actually distortion coming from the plug-in. You can see it's not distorting at the output levels up the top. So we're only about 5 dB. So that's pretty raunchy. But if you're only, maybe you want to add a bit of colour to a single note kind of line. I think it's nice on that Waverley preset. It just adds a bit of. If we bring it out again. bring it in. I think it just adds a nice bit of an edge to a lead line, or even if you wanted to do something, I don't know, something kind of quite menacing, you know. Don't think that's going to sound quite as menacing without the. Whereas if we crank that again. That's maybe a bit too much. I quite like that. So we're only doing linear distortion here. What I'm going to do now is bring in some of these other sort of distortion characteristics, or clipping characteristics, if you like. And let's back up. Oops, sorry. We go back up here and bring the cubic in. Hopefully you can hear that. There's a kind of sort of a harmonic richness going on. This is, you know, if when you hear all this chat about guitar pedals and stuff, odd and even harmonics, there's a kind of a bit of that going on. So you can, when it comes to sort of multiple notes, you can almost think the cubic clipping is you know, more musical. I hate to use that term, but it's kind of, it's distortion. It's definitely there, you know. Yeah. So we've got the polynomial now maxed up. So we're getting just cubic stuff, which is pretty raunchy. Now if I bring in squared, maxed out, cubic off, let's kind of do the same thing. Yeah, that just gets. So maxed out, that's pretty nasty. Maybe that's what you know. There's all sorts of extra kind of harmonic distortion going on there. So what you can do is maybe have, you know, a little bit of that and a lot of this guy. Get that kind of nice bit of colouring, I think. Again, if we just bring that out. Of course, what you would normally do, well, you know, what you might do is add a bit of reverb on the end of that to kind of paper over the cracks, and then you get this. Which I think is kind of cool. Let's get rid of the reverb. Now I'm going to skip down to the end of this. This is almost like a series of effects running together in the one audio unit, really. There's a delay. A delay is a little unusual. I'm just going to bring the gain down to about 3. Going down to the delay. This has the sync option. You tap the button to the right. So the max delay time is only 500 milliseconds, but I think the idea with this delay is that it's more usable at the smaller kind of delay times. So that's 250, which is quite a long delay time, but just so we can hear it. Let's bring some feedback and mix in a bit. Now, what is kind of unusual about this, well, not unusual, interesting about this delay is that it's kind of integrated into the distortion effect. So it's not just like sticking a delay on the end, because it kind of feeds back into the distortion. So if you start to crank this, I've tried to tune it so that it's kind of, and it's very interactive with your overall gain. So if I bring that up a bit, come back to the feedback. Just bring in my limiter, my Crockendam limiter, and bring up my safety net, which is 0 gain basically. So because we're going to get a bit wild here, I don't want it clipping levels and doing our ears in. Wanted to show that if you take the gain up, there you go. You can kind of push it into self-oscillation and it distorts as well. So there you go. Pretty nasty but nice. I don't know. I quite like that. Okay. So I thought it might also be interesting to just have a quick whiz through the presets. Obviously you can do that yourselves, but just in case you're not familiar with mood units or the latest update, I thought it might be fun to look at it with the Blue Mango oscilloscope and spectrogram. So let's actually, before we do that, let's get a super basic square wave. So I'm going to take the filter envelope off, so we really have just got a so that is a basic square wave from I think the Moog Mother 32, pretty sure it is. Let us take the distortion out for now. can take a look at that actually. So that's a pretty typical analog synth square wave that isn't quite a square wave. And what I'm going to do is bring the distortion back in. Let's take it out. See how it's kind of changing the characteristics of the square wave there. As we go through these, I won't go through exactly what the difference is between these settings. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to look at the oscilloscope basically, because I think oscilloscopes are cool, and this is a very cool app. I'll link it in the video. So that's semi-clean boost. Let's add a bit more grit. So that's quite interesting. Bit of subtle saturation. And this is just linear distortion. Interesting that the difference. Polynomial distortion. You hear how that's buzzier. There's a little bit more going on, kind of the sort of higher harmonics compared to, say, that guy. Yeah. Decimation. Now, decimation is just kind of crazy. Just destroy it, basically. So be careful with this one, because you can make it sound like your iPad's broken. But here's some decimation. So I've got just 5%. Rounding is kind of how it messes up the audio. Generally, the higher the rounding, the more crazy it's going to be. And we've got the mix about 50% here. So let's take a listen to that. So you can see as this spectrogram starts filling up, it's getting closer to noise than a discernible pitch with the corresponding harmonics. So if you compare, so I'll flip between linear distortion and fuzzy decimation. And of course, ring modulation, where you modulate one frequency with another. In this case, I'm doing the two same frequencies, so you get the Dalek effect. I'm not going to put that on my voice. Shall I? Should we try it? Let's try it. I've never actually tried this. For all that it's your classic, it's your classic radiophonic workshop effect. Let's see if I can make myself sound like a Dalek. Here we go. Hello. You will obey. There you go. I'm a Dalek. Let's get rid of that. I wasn't going to do the proper, manic voice. I don't think anybody needs to hear that. Right, where were we? Distortion. Dalek mode. This is a nice one, I think, that kind of has a bit of the cubic clipping, sort of a, not much gain, just a thickening effect, and then a bit of this delay. Which I think is quite nice. And then this guy has just got just a bit what's the difference actually? It's a shorter delay, and it mixes in a bit of the dry, so you thought that was a kind of a nice sort of solo type sound. Take it out. So you're getting a nice sort of kind of a fat boost type vibe with a bit of delay on that. With just the one audio unit here. And then Eve of Destruction, I think, has got a bit of everything. So it's got a bit of a mix of the different clipping characteristics, some decimation, no ring modulation, but a bit of delay. Yeah, so pretty nasty. And of course, with all of these, what I've done with the presets is I don't think many of them have got gain, because obviously this kind of changes what is being fed into the distortion algorithms quite a lot. So I've pretty much got all these set to 0, and then it's up to you how much, because it's going to depend hugely on the kind of sound that you put in. So for example, bass sound. It's quite nice for beefing up your bass sounds. If you want to go crazy. So you get some really beefy bass going on by pushing that gain. So there we have it. I think that is it's pretty much all I really wanted to cover. So that's Mood Units latest update. And if you're not sure if you've got that, go to the Mood Units app, and you'll see that that's 1.2, and you can also get the user guide from there too. Okay, well, I hope you found this useful and interesting. Rest assured, TouchScaper isn't, I'm not abandoning it, I'm just one guy. So Mood Units has kind of been my main focus of late. So there's more stuff coming on Mood Units, and TouchScaper will also get some TLC in due course. Anyway, I'll say cheerio for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope this new format is working. Check out Gavinsky's video and Doug at the Sound Test Room, and also the Blue Mango oscilloscope spectrogram app. Fantastic. Thanks.